Okay, Year 11, pause the video and play when you're ready to go through the answers. Okay, so for the first one, we've got a trapezium. So the formula is going to be half of the parallel sides added together multiplied by the perpendicular height. So we've got 18, half of 18 is 9. 9 times 4 is 36 meters squared. Now this one from last week, you should remember that the area of a triangle, when you haven't got the perpendicular height, you can say it's half times A times B times sine of the angle in the middle. Okay, so we've got half of 8 times 7 times sine of 100. So if I just type that into my calculator, now you will get an area of 27.6 meters squared. Remember to tell the examiner that you've rounded it to one decimal place. Okay, now this one, it's not a right angled triangle, and we need to work out what x is. So it's the sine rule or the cosine rule. Now we have not got a side and its opposite angle. So it's the cosine rule. So we've got a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. If we rearrange this, so we've got 2bc cos a is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared. Cos a is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared all over 2bc. So then I can say, well, if this is a, b and c can be interchangeable. So we've got cos x is equal to 18 squared plus 12 squared subtract 10 squared divided by 2 times 18 times 12. If we do cos to the minus 1, the inverse of all of this, that's going to tell us what x is. So if I just type that into my calculator, cos to the power of minus 1, 18 squared plus 12 squared subtract 10 squared, all divided by 2 times 18 times 12. My answer is saying that it is a maths error. So what have I done wrong here? Let me try that again. I may have drawn an impossible triangle. So 18 squared add 12 squared subtract 10 squared divided by 2 times 18 times 12. And that is equal to, I think I just typed it in wrong, so the angle is going to be 31.6 degrees to one decimal place, which sounds about right. Don't know what I've done there. Okay, so you've got two parallel lines. If that angle is 40 degrees, this angle is also 40 degrees. That's one mark. But the reason is alternate angles. You need to write the whole reason. Alternate angles are equal. And the way I remember it is that it kind of makes a Z shape. Okay, so if you can see that it kind of makes a Z, then it be the same, and the reason is alternate angles are equal. Right, today's title is solving simultaneous equations. So pause the video and play when you're ready to go through the examples. Okay, so the first example that I'd like you to copy down. So we've got xy is equal to 2, and we've got y is equal to x add 1. Now what we can do is we can substitute this one into the first equation. So we've got two equations. I'm going to substitute equation 2 into equation 1. So if y is equal to x add 1, what I can do, instead of y here, I'm going to just put x plus 1 into that. So I've got x brackets x plus 1 is equal to 2. If I expand that out, I've got x squared plus x equals 2. I've got a quadratic, so I want to make it equal to 0. So I'm going to do x squared plus x subtract 2 is equal to 0. And I'm going to see if I can factorize. Now this one does factorize, so it's going to be x plus 2, x subtract 1 is equal to 0. So my two values of x must be negative 2 or positive 1. Now that gets me most of the marks, but I want to work out what the values of y are. Now I can choose either equation 1 or equation 2 to work out the values of y, but you should be able to see that equation 2 is a bit easier. Y is equal to whatever x is, add 1. So if x is minus 2, y must be negative 1. And if x is 1, y must be equal to 2. So you've got two coordinates, negative 2, negative 1, or 1, 2. And I'll show you a graphical representation of that just after the second example. So copy that down. Once you've got that copied down, pause the video and give the question on the right a go. We'll check it in a minute. Okay, so you should have substituted equation 2 into equation 1. We should have x brackets x minus 1 is equal to 2. If you expand it out, you get x squared minus x subtract 2 is equal to 0. Now this one is going to be x minus 2 and x plus 1. So your two values of x are going to be 2 or negative 1. The second equation is probably the easiest. So y is equal to x subtract 1. So if x is 2, y is 1. And if x is negative 1, y is negative 2. So your two coordinates are 2, 1 or negative 1, negative 2. Now for this question on the left, I'm just going to show you what that actually looks like. So we've got one equation and another equation. Now if we drew those equations, what you'll see is that they cross 2 points. That's the whole point of what we're doing. So they cross at negative 2, negative 1 or 1, 2. And you can see that here. So you've got xy equals 2 is this red equation. And the line y equals x add 1 is the blue equation. And you can see that there are two answers. And we've just worked out the coordinates of those points. Okay, the next slide has some questions for you to try. Pause the video, give them a go, and then make sure you're checking your answers after. Here are the answers. Okay, the next one's slightly harder, but it's the same principle. So we've got two equations, and I know the value of y. So again, I'm going to substitute equation 2 into equation 1. I'm going to say, well, that means x squared plus, instead of y, I'm going to put in x add 3. So I've got all of x plus 3 squared is equal to 9. So if I expand that out, I get x squared plus 6x plus 9 is equal to 9. Now, if I simplify all of this down, I get 2x squared plus 6x equals 0. Now, how am I going to factorize this one? Well, I can take out 2x from both things. I've got 2x brackets x add 3 equals 0. So if 2x equals 0, x must be 0. And if x plus 3 is equal to 0, x must be negative 3. In the same principle, I've worked out my x values. Which one's the easiest to work out the y values? Well, it's probably the second equation. Y is equal to x add 3. So you should get those values for y, and you can write them as coordinates. So 0, 3, or negative 3, 0. Copy that one down, give the question on the right a go, and then play when you're ready to go through the the answers. Okay, so we're going to substitute equation 2 into equation 1, and you'll get x squared plus x minus 3 squared is equal to 9. So we've got x squared plus x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 9. So that gives us 2x squared subtract 6x equals 0. So then I've got 2x brackets x minus 3 this time. So my values are x equals 0 or x equals 3. So my y values must be negative 3 or negative 6. That gives us those coordinates like so. Okay, in exactly the same way, the next slide has loads of questions. Give them a go, and then remember to check your answers afterwards. Here are the answers. Okay, the next example, we've got two equations that are equal to y. So the trick here is, well, if x squared add x take away 2 is equal to y, and 2x add 4 is equal to y, we can say that they both must equal each other. So I can say x squared plus x minus 2 is equal to 2x plus 4. I've got a quadratic, so I want to make it equal to 0. So I've got x squared minus x minus 6 is equal to 0. And I can factorize that. That's going to give me x minus 3, x plus 2 is equal to 0. So my x values are going to be 3 or negative 2. Which is the easier equation? Well, I think it's again the second one. So 2 lots of x add 4. So 2 lots of 3 is 6, add 4 is 10. Or 2 lots of negative 2 is minus 4, add 4 is going to be 0. So my coordinates are going to be 3, 10 or minus 2, 0. Copy that down. Give the question on the right a go play when you're ready to go through the answers. You should have got the first mark is x squared plus 7x subtract 2 is equal to 2x plus 4. You then make it equal to 0. So you should have got this. If you factorize it, you'll get x plus 6, x minus 1 equals 0. So your two values of x are negative 6 or positive 1. The y values are 2x plus 4. So 2 lots of minus 6 is minus 12, add 4 is negative 8. Or 2 lots of 1 is 2, add 4 is 6. So my two coordinates are negative 6, negative 8, or 1, 6. Okay, here are the questions. Make sure you mark your answers afterwards. Here are the answers. Okay, and here's a GCSE question to finish. So remember, you've got x squared plus y squared equals 16. I won't say any more. Give it a go and then let me know, or I'll go for the answers in a minute. Okay, so construct the graph of x squared plus y squared equals 16. You need to remember that this is the equation of a circle. And the equation of a circle is x squared plus y squared equals the radius squared. So in this example, the radius squared is 16. So the radius is 4. So the center of the circle is the origin. So it's going to cross, my circle is going to go through these points here. Now bear with me because I've not got a compass, but hopefully if I draw it like so, it should vaguely end up like a circle. Okay, so we've got our circle-ish like that. And then the second equation is y equals 2x plus 1. That means that the y-intercept is at 0, 1. So the y-intercept is at 0, 1. And if you go across one square, you go up 2. Because that's what the gradient of 2 means. So to make it a bit easier, if we go across 2 squares, that means I go up 4. So it's going to go across 2, 4 as well. Now, I've got like 2 points. So with a ruler, and obviously I'm not doing it with a ruler, so it should also be there, and you get the idea. In fact, it shouldn't be there, should it? So if we go another 2 and then 4 down, those 3 points they're not in a straight line, are they? Bear with me. So 2x plus 1 goes through the point 0, 1. If you go across 2, you go up 4. If you go across 2, you go up 4. If you go across 1, you go up 2. So these should be in a straight line, but I don't think they are. But I don't know what I'm doing here. So let me just erase this here. What you end up doing is your line 2x plus 1 will go through these points like so. Okay, something like that. And then you have got your 2 points, and you can say estimate, so you can write that as a coordinate and write that as a coordinate. The reason why I think that these crosses and the circle are looking a bit odd is because my circle is not drawn very well. Okay, so if you draw your circle out accurately and you draw the line y equals 2x plus 1 as accurately as possible, hopefully yours should be a bit neater than what I have drawn there. Okay, exit tickets to finish. Okay, so you should be fairly happy with this. So what is the solution? Well, the solution is where the two lines cross, so it's going to be the coordinate 3, 1. Okay, the thing here, the next step, we're going to substitute x plus 5 into that. So it should be x squared plus x plus 5 all squared is equal to 19. So the answer is going to be C. And then the last exit ticket, what do you do next? Okay, with this one, if you expand this out, you'll get x squared plus 10x plus 25 is equal to 19. Is that one of the options? Yes. So it's going to be option A. Okay, thanks for listening, and I look forward to teaching you again tomorrow.